One of these individuals will be mayor of Buffalo next year.
After losing to Democratic Socialist India Walton, Buffalo's loser mayor, Byron Brown, is actually launching a write-in campaign. And some in local news are even pretending to take this seriously. So I got that clip coming up. But first here, just to quickly go over some of the timeline, and then I'll get to a clip of Byron Brown's speech on this, and then India Walton on MSNBC. Just to show you, as I covered last week, on June 23rd, India Walton stunned longtime incumbent in Buffalo mayoral primary. And then I covered this on my show. Big victory, huge news. And then, of course, because we can't have nice things, Byron Brown launches write-in campaign for mayor as others eye the race. This is a man who is unable to accept defeat and is going out there pretending he can win with a write-in campaign, which is absolutely ridiculous. But also understand, this guy is right now being taken seriously. So when the media pretends that you're not just a complete idiot and that they actually prop you up as a legitimate candidate, he's likely going to get a lot of write-ins that he wouldn't otherwise if this wasn't covered the way it's being covered. But here he launched this soon after it was announced that he lost the race once all the other votes came in, the absentee ballots came in. And Ben Dixon here tweeted out a clip of his speech, which is truly ridiculous. He tweets here, "How is this language any different than Trump talking about Obama? Dismissing India Walton as an inexperienced radical socialist, Byron Brown is literally his own version of the big lie, mounting a write-in campaign against Sis Walton." Check out this guy's speech.
We are going on to the general election as a candidate for mayor, and what people have been saying is write down Byron Brown. You know, we know the difference between socialism and democracy. We are going to fight for democracy in the city of Buffalo. The voters have said that they don't want an unqualified, inexperienced, radical socialist trying to learn on the job on the backs of the residents of this community. We will not let it happen.
This guy is so ridiculous and such a complete loser. You lost the race, bud. Get out. But here he cannot accept defeat. Imagine if the tables were turned. Do you really think anybody would have even covered India Walton's speech if she launched a write-in campaign? Do you think there would be any coverage of this at all? Of course not. But here you have a man who just can't accept defeat, is clearly a sore loser, calling India Walton a radical socialist as if he's Donald Trump, calling Biden or Obama a socialist. Just completely insane. India Walton is a democratic socialist. What she advocates for is putting more power, more money into the hands of the average worker. And I'll get to in a second here a clip from India Walton discussing what her plans are. But another aspect of the speech, he says here, this made me laugh. What people have been saying is write down Byron Brown. In that speech, he was announcing his write-in campaign. Nobody had been saying, write down Byron Brown. You made that up on the spot in that speech. You made it up. It's exactly like Donald Trump. People have been saying, a lot of people have been saying this. Nobody's been saying this. You just said it right there. Shut up. So stupid. Now let me get to this clip of very scary radical socialist India Walton on MSNBC.
What do you believe are the reasons for your victory?
I believe we won because we organized. We have a message of care, love, and hope that is resonant with working class Buffalo. We organized and we won.
As I noted, you would be the country's first socialist mayor in more than 60 years. People like Governor Cuomo, again, have called your win an anomaly. I want to hear from you what you think this means for the broader movement in the country and progressives generally. What does it mean for leftist politics nationally? And obviously, you're aware of how those on the right use the term socialism to hammer the Democratic Party generally. And what do you make of that, broadly speaking?
The pandemic has proven that we can have social programs that prioritize people and working class families and we can make efforts to reduce childhood poverty, and it works. No one is returning their stimulus. We all enjoyed free healthcare and immunizations. That is socialism. That is our government stepping up to take care of its people. And that is what we should expect as Americans, as New Yorkers, and as Buffalonians.
If elected in the general election and you do become mayor of Buffalo, what do you feel needs to change in that city specifically? What would your priorities be as mayor?
My priority is putting resources in neighborhoods and really tackling the issue of poverty. Buffalo is the third poorest city of our size in the country. It is unacceptable. We have disproportionately poor health outcomes. We know that social determinants of health are on a lot of people's radar as an indicator of a successful community. So we are looking at getting to the root causes of concentrated poverty and disadvantage.
Incredible. Really scary stuff. Social programs tackling poverty, improving healthcare outcomes. Watch out, radical socialist India Walton. Now, of course, this is all ridiculous. India Walton is almost certainly going to become the next mayor of Buffalo. But here you have local news. Instead of covering this the way they should be covering this, that Byron Brown is a sore loser and India Walton is the winner of the Democratic primary, and because Buffalo is very heavily Democratic, is very likely going to go on to win and become the mayor of Buffalo. Instead, they are covering this as if it's an equal race. Oh, you have India Walton, who's actually on the ballot, and Byron Brown, whose name you have to write down and write down properly in order for it to be counted. They're treating these two candidates as equals. Watch out this ridiculous clip, clip from WGRZ TV in Buffalo, and I will break down some of the insanity here. As somebody that used to work in local news, there are some things that caught my eye that really are just completely off the wall. But check this out.
Now on to some politics. After Byron Brown's announcement of a write-in campaign yesterday, the race for City Hall is officially on, and prominent names are lining up on both sides as Byron Brown and India Walton try to shore up support.
India Walton is holding a rally in downtown Buffalo as I speak, and 2 on your side's Claudine Ewing is there live as we look at where that race stands tonight. Hello, Claudine.
Happening right now in Niagara Square. India Walton, right behind me, is speaking before a group of supporters, many of them coming from different places around Western New York. They've been chanting, "This is what democracy looks like." But as we all know, this race is going to come down to November. One of these individuals will be mayor of Buffalo next year. Incumbent Byron Brown, seeking a fifth term, is rallying up supporters from the business community to neighborhood block club leaders. Remember, he's a write-in candidate. Meanwhile, the Democratic nominee, India Walton, promotes socialist views and has gained the attention of politicians outside of Western New York. Her campaign boasts calls and shout-outs from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders. I'm told it's not the big developers for now lining up with her, but the small business owners and mom-and-pop shops. That's according to folks inside of her campaign. In fact, donations to the Walton campaign totaled nearly $40,000 in one day. I checked with different lawmakers to see who they are supporting. Several have not responded, but here's what we did get.
This is all politics. That's what this comes down to. And elections matter. And we're going to have an election in November. I've worked very closely with Mayor Brown over the years. I've also worked very closely with India Walton in the community. So regardless of what the outcome is of the November election, I'm going to work with whoever is elected mayor.
A spokesperson for Congressman Brian Higgins emailed this statement. Brian has spoken to both Mayor Brown and India Walton over the past few days and will continue talks in weeks and months to come. He isn't going to waste the next 4 months caught up in the back and forth of local politics.
All right, I'm going to get to my favorite part of this clip in just a second. But let me break down some of the ridiculousness that you just watched. So first, to their credit, I'm fair here. To their credit, they do discuss how, or they do mention how Walton doesn't have the support of big developers, which is a big plus. The average resident of Buffalo should be able to recognize that, hey, India Walton actually on the side of smaller companies, mom and pop shops, and the average person, the average worker. But that's where all the compliments end. Let's get to everything else. Here they are treating, from the very beginning of this segment, and I've watched several segments from WGRZ on this, and in all the segments covering this, they are treating this as an equal race. You have Byron Brown and you have India Walton. It's going to come down to November to see who'll become the next mayor. One person is not on the ballot. The other one is. I wonder. To treat Byron Brown seriously at all is just, it's such a, it's journalistic malpractice. It is such a joke and really shows you that they're just covering this for the drama of it. Local news, often isn't this bad. They have a job and usually, not always, but usually do a good job at covering local issues. But when it comes to politics, local news often drops the ball, and here is another example of that. They also mention here, or I should mention as well, just on that point, even the established politicians that they quoted at the end of that video aren't taking Brown seriously. These are people that otherwise would be supporting Byron Brown. So, I mean, there's a reason why they asked these politicians what they think. But even they will not commit to Byron Brown because they understand politics. They know Byron Brown in a write-in campaign is not going to win the election. But here they are propping him up as trying to prop him up in this segment as someone to take seriously when even their own politicians, their established politicians, are not taking Brown seriously. And then we have India Walton promotes socialist views. Doesn't mention what that actually means. Doesn't mention India Walton, what her platform is, what she said she's fighting for. Doesn't quote her speech. Doesn't do any of that. Just mentions, she promotes socialist views. And leaves it up to the viewer to decide what that means. And obviously, when we're talking local news, largely older demographic watching local news, hears socialism and thinks that's scary, not voting for her. And then let's get to my favorite part. This is my favorite part of this whole thing. These images that they used of Bernie Sanders at AOC. I've worked in local news. It is not hard to grab a couple of images of people and proper images and utilize those images to represent the people you're talking about. But here they have Bernie looking like a scared old man, and AOC literally, this is a screen grab from the middle of a speech where her eyes aren't even open. This is so ridiculous. This is how they showcase Bernie Sanders and AOC being backers of India Walton. They use these images. It really is just a complete joke. But I have to mention, the race isn't over. And the reason why it's not over is because of dumb shit like this. Because local news, Buffalo News, at least parts of it, are propping up Byron Brown as someone to take seriously, even though he is just a write-in candidate and has no shot if it weren't for the fact that he's being propped up by media outlets like this.